Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and great listeners, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered in the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. I say shalom to you, Akim, out there. And this is another sit-down lesson in the news on August the 3rd, 2022, on this Wednesday afternoon at 6:57 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this news article from RT.com, alternative news, world news around the world. And the highlight of this news article for In the News on August the 3rd, 2022, and it reads, U.S. issues warning to Americans abroad. It says the State Department has urged caution among U.S. citizens worldwide after a Washington killed al-Qaeda leader. It says Americans abroad could potentially face increased violence after a U.S. drone strike in Afghanistan killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. The State Department warned on Tuesday in a worldwide caution communique. The State Department said that has currently information suggesting that the TIRRIS organizations continues to plan the terrorist attacks against the U.S. interests in multiple regions across the globe, adding that such attacks may be caused out via suicide operations. Right, that's the Ishmael spirit, Abraham's son. Because Ishmael, he got that. Like the scripture said, Ishmael is a wild man. Hey, in these last days, Ishmael is going to get back into that wild man spirit, even though that wild man spirit had to calm down a little while. But I believe over there in Palestine and Israeli territory over there in the Middle East, they've been getting to it with the Israelis over there, with the Palestinians, because the Palestinians, they Ishmaelites. That's, even though Arab is a mixed multitude, but that's their biblical nationality, the Ishmaelites, Abraham's son. So yeah, Ishmael might get back into that wild man spirit, So I just wanted to add a note to that. It says such attacks may be carried out via suicide operations, assassinations, kidnap, hijack, and sometimes Elam, which be the Persians or East Indians, they might be into that. I'm not even gonna say it, but that belief system. They believe in. Because Elam is into that belief system along with the Ishmaelites as well too. So they might be in that spirit of a wild man type spirit as well too, along with Ishmael. And it says such attacks may carry out via suicide operations and assassinations, kidnapping, hijack, and bombings. It says the alert advised Americans abroad to check the State Department website for travel advisories. Watch local news to keep up to date with current events and stay in contact with U.S. embassies and consultants in the countries that you are traveling to. Right, because a lot of American citizens might travel to Europe or probably like in the Middle Eastern countries or probably countries like in the islands or wherever they may be, mostly like in Europe or in the islands, most likely. But, a lot of them Ishmaelites be in these European countries as well too, especially Eastern Europe. They heavily definitely in the UK as well too. So mostly, these Ishmaelites like Norway, Belgium, so like Belgium or many more Eastern European countries as well too. You see a majority of Sweden. That's another one as well too. A lot of Ishmaelites is there too, because you're not, doing the migration. A lot of Ishmaelites escape from the war-torn countries like Yemen, parts of North Africa, parts of like North Africa, in the Middle East regions like Syria, Afghanistan, or Iraq, or many places that as such. So they escape these things, some Saudi Arabia, some from Morocco. A lot of these go back to the Ishmaelites, and they gonna, in the last days, Ishmael is gonna be in that wild man type spirit, even though they kind of cooled it down a little bit. But expect to see Ishmaelite being that madman, that wild man type spirit, and that's scripture says spirits that are created for vengeance. Well, I expect to see Ishmaelite gonna be in that wild man type spirit. It's gonna increase again, but you haven't been seeing it. You gotta calm down a little while. But when that time comes, Ishmael is gonna be back in that wild man type spirit, and that's why the United States was in the Biden administration was sending a message and a warning to the American citizens that's abroad after they used the airstrike on Osama bin Laden's right-hand man that killed him in an airstrike. And then you might have potential followers out there might potentially be inspired to do something negative. I'm not gonna say the real bad word because I don't want to deem it as HATE, or I don't want to get a flag on my channel because we gotta speak in code, which how YouTube is with their policies in regards to speaking stuff like this and that matter. So that's why I'm speaking in code, So expect to see Ishmael might be in that wild man spirit in the last days, And that's gonna be that spirits that are created for vengeance, which is Ecclesiastes 39 and 28, It says, let me continue on with the reading. The alert advised Americans abroad to check the State Department website for travel advisories, watch local news to keep up to date with current events, and stay in contact with U.S. embassies and consultees in the country they are traveling to. It says Americans have also been warned that U.S. facilities abroad may be temporarily closed or periodical suspended public service. While, right, because you got a lot of embassies in the Middle East, you got embassies in these other countries as well too. So you got to keep that in mind as well too, because people might be in the uproar of that as well too, try to potentially attack these embassies as well too. It says Americans also have been warned that U.S. facilities abroad may be temporarily closed or periodically suspended public service, while threats and security situations will be able evacuated and dealt with. It says as a terrorist attacks often occur without warning. U.S. citizens are strongly encouraged to maintain a high level of vigilance and practice good situational awareness when traveling abroad. Alert concluded. It says the warning comes after the CIA conducts a drone strike in Afghanistan over the weekend that killed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden's successor, Amin al-Zawahiri, a 71-year-old Egyptian. Even though we know who the real Egyptians are, which have been pushed down to the Sudan. But that's another topic. But continuing on with the news article. It says a national was in the top 22 of the FBI's most wanted terrorists since October of 2001. He believed to be one of the masterminds behind the 9/11 ATTACS in the U.S. It says White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has claimed that the killings of Zawahiri has made the U.S. safer. However, the United States Department has warned that his death triggers a higher potential of anti-American violence as Al-Qaeda and other organizations, right, because you do got a lot of organizations in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and all through the Middle Eastern countries, and potentially might have some other places globally as well too, because Ishmael is a wild man, and Ishmael is going to get back into that wild man type spirit in the last days. As I referenced Ecclesiastes 39:28, there are going to be spirits that are created for vengeance, Hey, so this might be a potential, you never know, I'm just saying, I'm just bringing out the message in the news article, So, hey, you never know these, especially these last days. But continuing on with the reading. It's a potential anti-American violence as Al-Qaeda and other organizations may be compelled to respond to the ASSASSINATION. Yeah, so hey, after I was reading through that whole, article about, U.S. issues a warning to the Americans abroad, and keeping them on high alert, because Ishmael might be in that, because you got Elam in there as well too. So you see Elam, Ishmael. They gonna be in that spirit of vengeance right along with Ishmael and Elam as well too. Because you got the East Indians, you got the Pakistanians, Yemen. Because they into that type of belief system. I'm not gonna say it, which is the ISLAM, if you know what I mean. So, they all connected with that, So all of them can be in that Ishmael wild man type spirit. That's why the United States is sending that message, a warning, because, potential American might spread around, these countries abroad, as these American citizens that's abroad as well too. And they might be inspired other vengeance of what happened to the guy that got hit in that airstrike in Afghanistan, So they're saying it might be potentially inspirations of vengeance for this incident. What happened to the Osama bin Laden's right-hand man, his successor, of what happened to him, that the United States used an operational airstrike and was able to kill the 71-year-old Egyptian man, which is Osama bin Laden's right-hand man, So as the United States sending warning to the citizens that's abroad and these embassies as well too, and these services that's associated with America, and the citizens. So they was telling them keep up to date on the news, be vigilant in your surroundings as well too. So yeah, Ishmael might be in that wild man type spirit, And I'm gonna bring out Ecclesiastes 39 and 28. And this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 39, verse 28. Verse 28 in the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads of verse 28. There are these spirits that are created for vengeance, within their fury lay on soul stroke. In a time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Right. Because as I was mentioning before, I was reading a news article as the United States was sending a global warning, for American citizens abroad of there might be inspiration, revenge attacks for what happened to the 71-year-old Egyptian man, Osama bin Laden's right-hand man, his successor to that airstrike, what the United States did over there in Afghanistan, So you might, that's why I brought out Ecclesiastes 39 and 28. Once Ishmael get back in that wild man type spirit, potentially, if it happens, in the last days, if so, it's going to be that spirit that I created for vengeance, That's why I brought out Ecclesiastes 39 and 28, And bring out a scripture about Ishmael. Ishmael is a wild man. And this is the book of Genesis, chapter 16, verse 12. And when he be a wild man, his hand will be on against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Right, because that's Ishmael, Let's see if I can go to verse 11. Salakia. Oh, here you go. Drop down one verse. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 16, verse 11. In verse 11 in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and thou shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. Verse 12. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of his brethren. Right, because Ishmael is a wild man, you know. Because, you know, he's so heavy into that ISLAM, if you know what I mean, that belief system, you know. Because you got Elam along with it, and the Persians, which is the Iranians, you know, they go back to Elam as well too, and along with the East Indians, which is Elam.
What you doing, Auntie?
I must watch TV. Yeah.
You got about I'll be big.
Oh yeah.
Take the cover,
Right. Right. Yeah. True. Oh, okay. So yeah, you know, you got Elam and Ishmael, you know, they in the same belief system. And you got others around the world as well too. Places like Malaysia, Indonesia, that's in that faith system as well too. You know, including other nations as well too, including our nations as well too, you know. But, you know, our people was not in that Ishmaelite wild man type spirit, you know. Even though Israelites, you know, they are crazy at times, you know. It's like the scripture says, children of Israel is a wild boar in their neck. You know, they sometimes they act crazy as well too. But they not in the spirit. They not in the spirit like Ishmael, you know, because Ishmael is a wild man, you know. The Ishmaelites is the modern day Arabs, you know, today, according to the Holy Scriptures. Their biblical nationality is the Ishmaelites, you know. So, hey, in the last days, if they get that inspiration of vengeance, which I just brought out, Ecclesiastes 39 and 28, there are spirits that are created for vengeance, and Ishmael is going to be in that wild man type spirit, even though you haven't been seeing it lately. But probably in the Middle East, you might have seen it of Ishmael in that wild man type spirit against the IDF, which is the Israeli soldiers, because you got conflicts and tensions still increasing, an ongoing cycle of conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Because you know the Palestinians, you know, they go back to Ishmael as well too, because you know Ishmael is that wild man type spirit, you know. So, you know, Ishmael is gonna potentially might increase to get back into that wild man spirit. You know, since the United States sent a global warning about what's happened to the, one of Osama bin Laden's right-hand man, successor. You know, so it's especially expect to see potentially Ishmael might get inspiration and vengeance on what happened to the person of Osama bin Laden's right-hand man. The Egyptian got killed in that airstrike. That's why the United States sent a global warning to the citizens that's abroad, you know, because they might have that anti-American inspiration of what happened to the person that got killed in the airstrike in Afghanistan, you know. So, hey, you never know, you know. Hey, I'm just speaking the message, you know. You know, hey, according to the Holy Scriptures, Ishmael is a wild man, you know. And Ishmael potentially might get back into that spirit once again, that wild man type spirit, you know. But other than that, I hope this was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, great wisdom, preaching the word, truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word, truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word, truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word, truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.